through 75 counties and hundreds of investigations, from the most violent crimes to petty infractions. This is Arkansas Crime Watch with Kevin Kelly.
At this point, your motherly instincts.
Yes.
Was she still alive?
I had a fear. I was thinking she was alive because I was like, I've got to get to her. She's here somewhere. I can feel her on this road.
6 months after authorities say 25-year-old Sydney Sutherland was kidnapped while jogging and then raped and murdered in Jackson County, Arkansas, her family is talking exclusively with Crime Watch. Good evening and thanks for watching Arkansas Crime Watch on Fox16.com. I'm Kevin Kelly. Ever since Sydney's murder, her family has been quiet, grieving, praying, and searching for answers. Tonight, for the first time, they're sharing their story exclusively with our Mitch McCoy, including a bizarre encounter between the accused killer and Sydney's mother.
County Road 41, where asphalt and gravel meet, and a pink cross marks the spot where one story ends and another begins.
Sydney Sutherland is my baby girl, my best friend.
Maggie Sutherland, Sydney's mom, says the mother-daughter duo were always side by side.
We go to ball games and instead of sit with friends, she would sit with me.
Sydney, just 25, a little sister.
She was always the baby.
Sam, one of her big brothers.
Family events, I mean, she'd let you know what you needed to bring and how it was going to go.
From either side of our family, she was the only girl. We had all boys.
Days before their nightmare would begin, the family was on a vacation in Florida, a regular getaway trip. Sam's then 5-month-old daughter with Sydney, better known as Aunt Sassy.
She loved being an aunt.
She's going toward the wind.
That's who she was.
The Sutherlands got back to Jackson County late that Tuesday night, August 18th, 2020.
We got home, we just went straight to bed.
Yes.
And next morning it was back to work.
And Sydney, after a workout with the trainer, captured on this surveillance photo the next morning, unloading from the family's vacation, the last photo they have of her.
She said, then I'm going to go running. And I was like, Sydney, don't run today. You know, we've been gone, rest, get you some sleep.
You just left the trainer?
Yes, you left the trainer. You did an hour hard workout. Why would? She goes, it just releases me.
The 25-year-old went for her run on Jackson County Road 41. The phone rang. A few hours later, it was Sydney's boyfriend.
He called me right after 5 and he says, have you seen Sydney? And I said, no.
Calls to Sydney went to voicemail.
My heart just dropped.
Texts unanswered.
Something just was not right.
Snapchats unread.
My fear was being kidnapped on that road.
An all-hands-on search started for Sydney.
We were just trying to find any kind of clue that we could.
Hundreds of volunteers descended on County Road 41. Detectives searched for anyone who may have seen something. Sam says he got a phone call, one of the first tips from someone he knew in town.
Called me and said that Quake seen her heading south over the overpass, headed back home. And that's all, that was basically all that was said. So we knew the last sighting of her was at the interstate headed home.
By Quake.
By Quake.
Quake Llewellyn, 28, a familiar face to the family, graduated high school just a few years before Sydney joined the search.
He just walked up and just stood by a tree.
Maggie says Quake appeared to be lurking, maybe trying to listen in near the command post.
Walked over to him and I said, Quake, can you tell me anything? What's Sydney doing? You know, did you see anything unusual? Did you meet anybody unusual? He goes, no, she was just running. I said, you don't have anything you can tell me? No, she's just running. He just kind of gave me a little hug.
He gave you a hug?
Gave me a hug.
What did that feel like in that moment?
It was something felt odd. I walked back over to the group and I was like, something's wrong.
And odd it was. That very next morning, Quake and his dad went to Arkansas State Police for an interview. After all, Sam says Quake's dad is the one who called in one of those first few tips. State troopers say the two allowed investigators to search their truck. That's when detectives say they found blood inside the cracks of the tailgate. Back on 41, a glimmer of hope.
Well, we were down on our hands and knees crawling on the ground, and I was like, I found a bead. Sydney's been here.
But as that hope started setting in, Sam's phone rang. Sheriff David Lucas needed him to gather the family.
That was the hardest trip I've ever had to take, is from the overpass to the house. They told me there's a body discovered, and that's basically all they told me. But I knew. But then I knew we was going to have to go up there and break it to her too. So I mean, it was just that part was the worst part by far.
Detectives found Sydney.
He just broke it to me. It was devastating.
Even harder to grasp why Llewellyn allegedly picked her daughter. Sam says the two knew each other, but they weren't close. Troopers say Llewellyn passed Sydney, turned around at the overpass, and then hit her with his truck.
We just don't know where or what happened at the time, you know.
Llewellyn is accused of kidnapping, raping, and killing Sydney.
The charges he's facing, he's up for the death penalty.
Yes.
Do you want him to face the death penalty?
As of right now, I want to say yes.
Do you think you guys would ever come to a day where you say, I forgive him?
Absolutely not.
Mackie says it's outpouring of support from around the world, helping the family through its darkest moment.
Beautiful blonde hair, dark brown eyes, pearl white smile that lights up the night. Family was a world.
At Sydney's final resting spot, there's another bright pink cross.
Don't want her to be forgotten.
A symbol to remember a young woman taken too soon, and an everyday reminder for every parent driving or just jogging by.
Don't forget when you see your child that tell them you love them. Could be your last words.
The Sutherlands are creating a foundation in Sydney's name. There's a scholarship for future Arkansas State University students pursuing an education in the medical field. As for Quake Llewellyn, he's pled not guilty in the case. He's not scheduled to be back in court for several months. We begin tonight's Crime Tracker report in Little Rock, where police are investigating a homicide. Information is limited, and here's why. A woman suffering from a gunshot wound was dropped off at UAMS Wednesday morning at around 2 a.m. She was identified as 30-year-old Tara Lynn Cantrell. She died from her injuries, but right now police have little to no information on what happened or possible suspects. In Hot Springs, two brothers are behind bars, both facing first-degree murder charges after police say they stabbed a man to death. 36-year-old Gaspar Andreas and 26-year-old Pascual Andreas are accused of killing 32-year-old Miguel Ruiz inside his home this past Sunday. According to witnesses, the two brothers got into an argument with Ruiz outside the home on Hagen Street. They then dragged him inside, stabbed him multiple times, and then fled. Police tracked them both down and arrested them. They're being held without bail. Pine Bluff police have identified a suspect in a shooting that left one man dead. Detectives are looking for this man, Robert Thomas. Police believe he shot and killed 66-year-old Edson Jones on March 13th at the Beach Street Apartments. Jones was pronounced dead at the scene. If you know where Thomas is, contact Pine Bluff Police. And the Perry County Sheriff's Office needs your help finding a man wanted in connection to a triple shooting. Investigators tell us this man, George White, is wanted for shooting 3 people on March 12th. It happened on Sweet Home Loop in Houston, Arkansas. We're told one of the victims is now paralyzed from the waist down. White is considered armed and dangerous. If you see him, call police immediately. Tonight, the mother of a 10-year-old girl killed who was shot at a Boyle Park last weekend is speaking about her daughter's life and tragic death. Police say 2 people got into an argument and they believe the girl was caught in the crossfire. Our Claire Kreitz talked to the young girl's mother, who, as you can imagine, is in a state of disbelief.
They took my baby.
A place where families come to play, now a reminder of a tragic day in the city of Little Rock.
She was an honor student from 1st grade to now.
As Euquita Bradley walks up to this memorial of her daughter, Jalea, she reflects on how her little girl made such an impact from the day she was born.
I became pregnant with her. She changed me.
But just one day ago, her life was cut short. According to Little Rock police, around 4 Saturday afternoon, 2 people got into an argument and shots were fired. This innocent child caught in the crossfire.
That was my strength. That was my motivation to where I am right now. They robbed me of my own child.
Bradley says she tried everything she could.
But I never thought that I would be doing CPR on my daughter.
Now, the spot where she lost her life is filled with balloons, flowers, and teddy bears.
These are my babies.
All from those who are offering comfort to this grieving mother.
Wrap our arms around the family, try to be there for them in any, whatever kind of way.
Showing that she's not alone.
We all in this together. She hurting, we hurting too.
Another victim was also shot during the incident. Police believe he was involved in the argument. At last check, we're told he is in critical condition. As for the suspects in this case, here's what we know at this hour. 18-year-old Ladarius Burnett surrendered to authorities last Sunday night, one day after the shooting. 24 hours later, Eric Hall Jr. turned himself in. Both face charges of capital murder. Little Rock police also tell us Burnett had been under court supervision for the past 2 years and was connected to at least 2 other shootings. In addition, he was wanted by authorities for about 6 weeks prior to the shooting at Boyle Park. In tonight's cold case report, Little Rock police continue to investigate a shooting that left 3 people injured. It happened March 13th at the Embassy Suites on Financial Parkway. More than a week later, no one has been arrested. Our Hunter Hoagland talked exclusively with one mother who was staying at the hotel when those shots were fired.
Our night could have been a lot worse, and we could be having a different conversation today.
Tears falling as Nicole Haynes remembers a horrifying night after Little Rock police say a gunman opened fire on 3 people. Happening Saturday night in the parking lot of the Embassy Suites off Financial Center Parkway.
I heard screaming in the hallway, and that's when I knew, that there had been a shooting.
Haynes staying here with her 2 kids, both now scared to close their eyes again tonight.
My son just cried and cried. He wouldn't go to sleep last night until I moved the couch in front of the door.
It was a crime scene this registered nurse says she wasn't prepared for, saying the lobby looked like a, quote, massacre.
I got downstairs as fast as I could and ran to them, but the amount of blood there, it was something I've never experienced.
Little Rock police say all 3 victims were taken to the hospital, 2 of them with serious injuries. And with no arrests made, this mom says you begin to wonder where you're truly safe.
You should feel safe to take your children to swim at a hotel with your family, and I don't feel safe anymore.
Little Rock police tell us 2 of the victims had been released from the hospital. The 3rd victim that was previously in critical condition is doing better. Again, no suspect has been identified. The U.S. Marshals teaming up with Crime Watch once again to track down some of their most wanted suspects. Tonight, the spotlight is on this man, Mario Antoine Sims. He's wanted by the Brinkley Police Department for an escape that happened back in December of last year. He's also wanted on a federal warrant. If you know where he is, call the U.S. Marshals. You can call authorities if you know where he is. Of course, your information will be kept confidential. As we leave you, here's a look at Arkansas's most wanted. We want to remind you all of the suspects you've seen tonight are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Remember, if you have any information on any of these cases we talked about tonight, you're asked to call your local police department. Thanks for watching Arkansas Crime Watch. I'm Kevin Kelly. Be smart, be safe, and if you see something, say something. I'll see you tomorrow night on Fox 16 News at 5:30 and 9.